What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a quick and easy meatloaf. So here we're just going to jump right into it. I have about 2 pounds of ground beef. I have about 1/4 cups of chopped sweet onions, and I have my seasonings, which is salt, pepper, cayenne pepper, garlic powder, and ginger powder. And I also have 1 egg. You only need 1 egg for this recipe because, like I said, we're making a very small meatloaf. I have some chopped cold butter. You can use salted or unsalted. I have some fresh thyme. I have some butter crackers. And I also have Worcestershire sauce, my favorite. If you guys are not new to my channel, you know I love that stuff. So let's get to it. First things first. This recipe is easy. We're going to add everything to our bowl, all of our ingredients to the bowl. So you see I added my butter. Now I'm adding my 1 egg. Next up, we're going to grab our seasonings. And remind you guys, always prep your ingredients and get them out before you start cooking. It makes cooking such a breeze. It's much more relaxing when you prep. Even your seasonings, chop everything you need to chop before you get started. Preheat your oven, and yeah, it just makes cooking a lot more fun, a lot easier, and also easier for cleanup. So here we are. I'm just taking a few of these thyme leaves off of the stem. And don't worry, I see I have a few bits and pieces of the tiny stems, but trust me, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to make or break this recipe, and we're all good to go. I like to add my butter Ritz crackers. I just basically crunch them up in my hand. I don't use any fancy machine. And this is basically, we're going to make everything in this one bowl except for our glaze. So I used about 6 crackers for this recipe, as you can see here. And I just crunch them up and put them in the bowl. And once I got all my ingredients, it's time to get messy. So I do like to use my hands, so you'll always probably see me with some gloves on or some really clean hands, especially up under those nails, because when you cook with your hands, or you mix, I'm sorry, not cook, don't cook with your hands, but we're going to be making this food with love, so we're mixing it up with our hands. And I forgot my Worcestershire sauce, so I have my handy dandy helper here who's going to add about 2.5 tablespoons of the Worcestershire sauce to our mix here, since I'm already deep in the 9 feet and I don't want to touching my good bottles and stuff. So I'm gonna just mix this and form it into a kind of like a football shape. And my oven is on 350 degrees. It's already preheated. And I'm going to use a non-stick flat pan. Well, it's kind of shallow. It's not a flat pan, I'm sorry. But kind of shallow because we wanted to catch those juices. Because you know we have that butter in there. And this is a nice size piece of ground beef. So we're going to get a lot of fat and oils and butter out of here, and you can use that for your gravy. So I'm just patting it to make sure it's how I want it to look, and don't worry, it's not going to come apart if you put those crackers and that egg inside of your meatloaf. And before I put it in my oven at 350 degrees, I'm just going to drizzle just a little bit more of olive oil on top of my meatloaf. And again, this recipe feeds about 4 people. You can squeeze in an extra person if somebody is willing to share. So really quick, I'm going to make my glaze because my meatloaf is almost done, and it's really simple. I'm going to use ketchup, dark brown sugar, and then I'm also going to use some chopped rosemary. So I just chopped some fresh rosemary, and I'm going to add that into the ketchup. And I already took out my meatloaf and cranked my oven up to 400 degrees. because when we put this ketchup glaze on top of our meatloaf, we're going to cook it for 10 more minutes at 400 degrees to warm up that glaze and get all of our flavors together. Some people use barbecue sauce. You can use barbecue sauce or any other ketchup recipe that you may know. Some people just simply put the ketchup on there. It's totally up to you. I like to give it a little flavor. So here's our meatloaf, and you see that fat and those nice oils. You can drain this and use that oil to make you some gravy, because a lot of people love gravy on their meatloaf. And you have a nice oil to start off with at the bottom of the pan. And that's going to give you guys a lot of flavor for your gravy. Now we're just going to simply spoon on the ketchup. You can use more or less. See, in my family, in my house, we like a nice layer of the ketchup on top of the meatloaf, but you don't have to do it this way. If you want a nice thinner layer, just use less, and it's totally up to you. I want you guys to enjoy these recipes just as much as I do. So make sure you modify it to your liking. Even if you wanted to try it my way first and see what you do or you don't like. But this is a pretty simple decision. You know if you want less or more ketchup on your meatloaf. So before I place this in the oven, I'm going to place a fresh rosemary on top of it. And this is how it looks after it's been in the oven for 10 minutes. You can see it's a little darker. And guys, you can tell it's still juicy. Yes, so I'm going to give you another view, and here is how it looks once we slice it. You can see those onions. You can see the drippings on my plate. It's juicy. If you look at the bottom of our meatloaf, it's not dry at all. When I say it's juicy, those Ritz crackers held it together. That butter kept it nice and moist in the inside. And I paired this with some garlic mashed potatoes and gravy. And I did use my pan drippings for the gravy. I also put some Hawaiian rolls in the oven and made some fresh green beans. And this dinner was amazing. It's great for fall. And, you know, when it's cold outside, this is definitely one of those recipes. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, guys. Like, subscribe, and let me know if you have any other ideas. See you next time.